For more on the confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, let's bring in ABC News Deputy Political Director Averi Harper, Johns Hopkins University History Professor Leah Wright Rigueur, and ABC News Supreme Court contributor Kate Shaw for more on this. Kate, I'd like to start with you. How do Judge Jackson's qualifications stack up compared to previous nominees?
You know, Diane, I think that Judge Jackson is one of the most qualified nominees in modern history, maybe in Supreme Court history. She's got top legal degrees from Harvard, both college and law school, top clerkships, including for Justice Stephen Breyer, for whom she served as a law clerk and whom she would replace if confirmed. She's got deep and broad experience both in the federal government, on the Sentencing Commission, and also in private practice. She served as a federal public defender. She'd be the first justice to have done that. So her experience, I think, stacks up, extremely strongly against just about any recent nominee. And she has some new kinds of experience, like this federal defender experience. There's never been a public defender on the Supreme Court. And so that is, another kind of first that she would represent. And obviously, in addition to being the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. So, I don't think that there's much to be made of her qualifications. And in fact, you haven't even really seen opponents doing much to suggest that she's anything but eminently qualified for the Supreme Court.
Now, Leah, despite that, Republicans have said that Judge Jackson is a beneficiary of affirmative action because President Biden promised to nominate a black woman. Do you think it could work against her at all that Biden specified that criteria right from the beginning?
No, it's interesting that there's been a little bit of hoopla around this idea of an affirmative action pick when, every other pick for the Supreme Court has essentially worked in an affirmative action way. People are picked for the Supreme Court for their gender, for their racial background, for their educational experiences, for diversity of thought, right? There are all kinds of qualifications that go into why you would choose somebody for the Supreme Court. And in fact, Biden's not the first person to even mention, these various qualifications. He's part of a long list of people that have of presidents who have mentioned various qualifications or various characteristics. Not only that, we saw a couple of people testing the waters of using the idea of affirmative action as a negative or using it as some kind of way to detract from her. But as panelists have pointed out, this is a woman who is supremely qualified to be on the Supreme Court. In fact, she's overqualified. She is perhaps the most qualified person on the bench if she is confirmed. And not only that, there's not anything controversial so far about her record. And then on top of that, I think the last thing here to keep in mind is that Republicans are weighing whether it will even be politically worth the cost of going after her over things that could be considered straw men or red herrings. It may not actually be worth it. So I don't think that we'll see very much being brought up, but also it's not going to take away from the hearing at all.
Do you think Biden mentioned it maybe on purpose to try to bait Republicans into going there? Because he could have just picked her and never said that he was staying within that criteria. Could there be a strategy there?
Well, there's absolutely a strategy in terms of letting Biden's constituents know why he is choosing this woman and letting his voters know. This is something that a number of constituents, a number of citizens within the United States, supporters of the Democratic Party, black women in particular, have been pushing for, not just for the last 4 years, but really for decades. And there is an understanding that black women have been consistently overlooked and ignored when it comes to the Supreme Court, that they've had a much, much higher barrier, despite having the qualifications, than other people to get to the Supreme Court. So there's certainly that strategy that's being considered during this moment. But we also know that when Barack Obama was considering someone to put on the Supreme Court, the Democratic strategist really did push the idea of nominating a black woman because it would become a political landmine for Republicans to push back at that, right? Because there are all kinds of traps that you walk into. And so we know that Biden certainly considered this when he was, taking into account who would replace Breyer. So it's a smart political strategy because it's such a delicate issue and it's such a powerful issue to so many people on the ground.
Avery, how important is it for Judge Jackson to win Republican votes in this confirmation hearing process?
Well, it would certainly be a feather in the cap of the Biden administration if they can say that their nominee got bipartisan support. But Democrats do not need any Republican votes in order to confirm her. They only need a simple majority. And if Democrats stick together, Vice President Kamala Harris could be the tie-breaking vote.
All right, Kate Shaw, Averi Harper, Leah Wright Rigueur, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.